Welcome back to my Pokémon Emerald Hardcore Nuzlocke walkthrough. In the last episode, we suffered some brutal losses to our rival in Abra, Dustox, and our starter, all because I was unprepared and way too lazy to do a bit of extra grinding. We were able to get the second badge from Brawley, and we've just made it to Mauville City. But before I went ahead and did anything else, I spent a lot of time grinding up my new team. I can't be that unprepared again. The road from Gen 3 Casual to Emerald Master continues. Let's do this. As you can see, I've grinded up basically the majority of the Pokemon I actually have left in order to minimize my chances of losing any others. Although Watson may be pretty tough with this lineup, we'll see. I'm not going to bother leveling up the Ralts yet, as Kirlia isn't very helpful most of the time. I'd rather wait until I can have the Gardevoir. While I was grinding, I spent the time taking out the trainers on Route 118 and 117 to the east and west of Mauville. By the way, make sure you pick up that hard scale on Route 118 for later. I picked up the HM for Rock Smash, the coin case, which will be very helpful later on, and of course the Mach Bike. I chose the Mach Bike because it'll help a lot with any future grinding we have to do using the daycare method. Now that all that stuff is out of the way, it's time to get my Route 117 encounter. With how my team is currently constructed, I really want every available option I can get right now, just to be safe. And it's an Illumise. Yikes. I was really hoping for an Oddish there. Illumise does get Charm and Encore at some point, but I just don't think any of that is going to contribute well to the Watson fight. Oh well, we'll use what we have. Before we face Watson though, I want to head over to Verdant Turf Town to pick up the Attract TM and the Black Glasses from the other side of Wismer Cave. That should help Mighty Anna out a little bit. Now back in Mauville City, and I think we're ready to take on the gym, but not before we wreck Wally's shit and his confidence. Oh, I'd say you more than just lost that one, buddy. After clearing out the gym, I'm ready for Watson. I have some interesting strategies for this one, so let's get to it. The primary strategy for the fight is simple. Spam bulk up with my Vigoroth on his Voltorb until he's beefy enough to sweep Watson, Cut, and Rock Smash. At least that's what I hope happens. I opened up the fight with Watson with exactly that strategy at first. I have a ton of back and forth with Voltorb in the process, constantly bulking up, slacking off when I need health, all while fighting paralysis. Eventually I get to the point where I feel like I can start swinging, so I hit Cut, and Voltorb goes down. Electrike comes out next, I give Vigoroth some more health first, before another Cut brings down the little pup as well. Magneton comes out, and this was one of the ones I was worried about. Even with all the bulk ups, Rock Smash still doesn't even hit for half health, but even with the defense drop, a second Rock Smash is still not enough to bring Magneton down. I have to send in Gulpin to try and get a yawn off if I can, and luckily I do after the Super Potion from Watson. Since he used Supersonic last, I tried to go for an Encore before switching Vigoroth back in, and it worked, just in case he woke up early. With Vigoroth back in, the idea now is to slack off and then continue to go for Rock Smashes. It takes quite a lot of effort, and I had to take a bunch of risks here, but luckily Magneton only used Sonic Boom for the most part, which really helped me eventually bring him down. I actually had to make him fall asleep again before I could even get in enough damage, but now out comes his ace, Manectric. This is where I was going to need a little bit of luck, but I thought I had a decent strategy for this. Keyword there, thought. I'm about to make another big mistake. I sent out Illumise as my strategic sacrifice so I can cleanly switch in Mighty Anna. Now the idea here was win a 1v1 by using Thief to steal Manectric's Citrus Berry, hopefully giving me enough of an advantage to take him down. And maybe that would have worked if I wasn't a fucking idiot and equipped Black Glasses to my Mighty Anna before the fight, because I thought it would be nice to have a little extra damage for a bite. For those of you planning on using Thief to steal a berry from a gym leader's ace, just remember to make sure that your Pokemon isn't holding any items first. I went for the Thief twice actually because I was confused as to why it didn't work the first time. I thought that maybe my HP had to be lower and then the berry would be eaten right away, but no, that's not how it works. I'm just dumb. Oh, fuck man. It was over and I knew it. There was no way any of my other Pokemon were standing up to Manectric, and one by one, everyone fell. There are definitely a handful of important lessons that we can learn from this first attempt, but focus and preparation are definitely among the most important. Have a plan before every boss fight, and not just a loose one either. Try to imagine how every single turn could play out. Imagine something going wrong too, and then how you would deal with it. Attempt number 1 is officially over. A lot of mistakes were made, but a lot of lessons were learned as well. Attempt number 2 starts right now. I won't bore you with a lot of the details we already covered in the walkthrough so far up to Watson, so I'll only go over the encounters and the major fights. You know what? I think I'll be a girl this time, why not? That's probably why I lost the first attempt, honestly. I also left Battle Scene on for this run too. It's more fun to watch the battle animations. I decided to go with Trico again. I can't accept the way that he went down in the first attempt. Ooh, a rash Trico as well, hell yeah. First two encounters ended up being a Poochyena and a Wurmple. Again, both counters are totally fine. Anything the Wurmple turns into will be very nice for Brawly, and it looks like another Dustox to me. Our next encounter past Petalburg is a Meryl. Not bad. Unfortunately, it does have Thick Fat instead of Huge Power, but that's not the end of the world. Even with Thick Fat, Azumarill can still be a great addition to the team in a lot of ways. She'll be really nice for Flannery actually, and we'll need that because our starter will be useless in that gym. But yeah, regardless of ability, Azumarill is a great Pokemon. It evolves super early, and bulky water types in general are just great. Our Petalburg Woods encounter is Shroomish, and thank the fucking lord. These encounters are actually so much better than what we got in the first attempt. Breloom in general is a fantastic Pokemon. With excellent offensive capabilities, you get him so early. Typing is very unique and very strong for this generation, and I'm very excited. With how this team is currently constructed, we are going to have a much easier time on the first four gyms. Trico and Shroomish on Roxanne, Dustox on Brawly, Breloom on Watson, and Azumarill on Flannery so far. Looking good. Moving on to Rustboro, we do our usual stuff. Pick up Cut and Quick Claw, and then immediately head to Route 116 to grind on some trainers and pick up our next two encounters. We used a Repel, of course, so we can get all the way to the Wismer Cave first to pick up our first strategic sacrifice. And then let's see what we get on Route 116. Shit. Oh god. Well, the cool part about this is Skitty is a rare encounter, but the very not so cool part of it is that it sucks really bad. Delcatty is unfortunately not a good Pokemon in basically any scenario whatsoever. Bad stats, bad learn set. It gets a ton of coverage later on, but you have to actually use your TMs to get that coverage, which you will not do, or at least I hope to God you don't. At least our encounters have been excellent so far, and I haven't killed any accidentally. With all of that settled, I very quickly dispose of Roxanne, courtesy of Shroomish. Leech Seed Absorb is just too good. We go help a couple of adults again. Mr. Stone gives me a letter to deliver to his son again, even though he literally just gave me a device that supports phone calls, but I'm a little girl, so what the fuck do I know? And we head off to Dewford Town. After getting there, I quickly pick up the Silk Scarf from the house by the dock, and then the Old Rod, and then I pick up my next two encounters, Magikarp and Tentacool. Both great guaranteed encounters, just don't kill them. Back to Granite Cave to get our next encounter, and it's a Zubat. Back to the awesome encounters. Sweet. Crobat is really good in any game, honestly. Incredibly fast and has an amazing defensive typing. He'll do great for us. Pick up Flash, deliver the letter to Steven, and then haul our asses back to Rustboro so we can pick up the experience share from Mr. Stone. Run all the way back to Dewford, do some more grinding to make sure Dustox is prepared. Also want to make sure my Trico is at least a Grovyle as well. And it's time to face Brawly again. And luckily, I think we can pretty much get away with exactly what we did last time. And there was not a whole lot to see here as we blew through all three of his Pokemon much easier than last time. Dustox just makes this fight super safe and just so much easier to get through. We get Bulk Up again, which might come in handy later, and now it's time to move on to Slateport again. I'm definitely flying through this attempt much faster than the first. It becomes pretty easy to plow through everything when you know where all the items are, what each trainer and boss has, and what your encounters are capable of. Once again, do not skip out on the Seashore House. Soda Pop is very valuable. Heals more than super potions for half the price. After delivering the Devon goods again and using my childlike superpowers to cause a dozen or so criminals to clear out of a museum, we can head north to Route 110 to pick up our next encounter. And it's a huge pickup. Electrike is a fantastic encounter for Emerald. Electric types are just so good in this game, especially later on. Manectric is going to be an excellent addition to the team. I cannot wait to start raining thunderbolts down on bosses later on. Now the next step is of course our rival fight, which went really terribly last time. I will not be lazy this time. I'm leveling up as much as I need to make sure I don't lose half of my party again. It's going to take a while, but it makes sense. After a while later, finally done with the grind, and now I feel confident enough to go into this rival fight without losing anybody. Always prepare for this rival fight, by the way. In my opinion, it is the hardest rival fight in the entire game. Easily. Make sure you have a plan, make sure you have your strategic sacrifices in place, berries are equipped, everything. Alright, let's do this right. Take a quick look at my team before heading into the fight. Everyone is leveled up, and having Azumarill should definitely help with the Combuskin this time. As well as the Breloom, honestly, just because of how hard he hits. I start out with Breloom because I know he'll one-shot the Wingull and the Combuskin will come out. I honestly should have just switched it to Azumarill at this point, but I thought I could sneak in a Leech Seed before I did. Peck ended up dealing a lot more than I thought it would. Although, I'm not so sure a crit would have killed us there anyway. It could have been arranged though, I suppose. With Azumarill now switched in, I thought I was in a pretty good spot. However, I kind of had another why the hell did I do that kind of moment, and decided that Rollout would be better than Water Gun. This was dumb. Even if Rollout would deal more damage in the long run, this Combuskin crit me a few times, and I could have easily lost Azumarill because I was locked into using Rollout for basically the rest of the fight. Luckily my rival's starter goes down, and luckily again my Rollout doesn't miss on the incoming Lombre either, because if it did, I probably would have lost Azumarill. I dodged another bullet there. Azumarill is really important for me to have against Flannery at this point, so I don't want to lose him just yet. And that's the rival fight. No deaths, but I definitely still made a few dumb decisions there that I didn't need to make. All part of the process. Phew. I think that's it for this episode. The new attempt is so far looking much better than the first. I'm making less mistakes, I'm getting great encounters, and overall things have been going very smooth so far. Let's see if we can take that momentum into Watson and the upcoming routes. I'm almost back where I was in attempt number 1, and I'm excited to get my revenge, push into the mid-game, and learn a bunch of new stuff along the way. In the meantime, as usual, please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe for more content like this. And let me know what other kinds of content you would like to see me do in the future. That's it for me. I'll see you next time.